Welcome to the dark side of travel. So you've dared to come jaunt with me. Thank you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Courtney Maroc, Ambassador of Dark and Paranormal Tourism for Haunt Jaunts, a destination for restless spirits who dig hauntings, true crime, horror, Halloween, and weird days. I'll be your host and guide for this listening adventure. Looks like we've been cleared for takeoff, so buckle up, sit back, and enjoy the ride. Did you hear about the Oklahoma lawmaker who proposed a Bigfoot hunting season bill? On January 20th, 2021, Oklahoma State Representative Justin Humphrey filed House Bill 1648, which says, "The Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission shall promulgate rules establishing a Bigfoot hunting season. The commission shall set annual season dates and create any necessary specific hunting licenses and fees." It's kind of interesting. It raises many dilemmas. Should we be hunting Bigfoot for sport, even though we don't know if they exist? But even if they did exist, since, if they're not like deer or elk or ducks or anything else that people normally hunt, is it right to try to kill something that, if you were able to hunt it and actually get one, is that, ethically correct in this case? Should we be studying it? Are they very limited? Should there be more conservation? I don't know. It raises a whole lot of issues. Like, would you, if you were a hunter, I guess it would be a prize, right? You display that Bigfoot in your house. Anyways, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just raising some issues, especially because it made me think of a post from, a long time ago. Let me see, when was this? It was in April 2011 that I wrote, "Could Bigfoot be a hybrid Humanzee?" Okay, so here's what happened. I'll just sort of, I'll read the post, but also, inject now into it. So on this particular morning, I guess I woke up very early and I couldn't get back to sleep. So I flipped on the TV, and it was apparently when we still had cable, because it was a program on the Science Channel called Humanzees. But I didn't know at first that it was called that when I flipped to the screen, and not scream, but I did scream when I saw what was on the screen, because there was this creature, and all I could think was, pardon the French that's about to come, holy shit, it's a real live Bigfoot. Somebody actually really caught one. How did I never know about this? Not so fast, Court. Slow down. No. The creature's name was Oliver, and at one point he was touted as a possible Bigfoot, and also he was considered perhaps the missing link because he was suspected of being a possible human-chimpanzee cross, or a Humanzee. He was really an unusual chimp. If you've never seen him, I used to have a video. I think I had gotten it from YouTube, but I can't seem to find it now. I'll try to put that somewhere again to see. I do have the picture in I've used it as the episode cover of what Oliver looked like. But if you just Google Oliver the Humanzee, I'm sure loads of images and maybe even some videos will come up. He really had human-like facial features, and he also walked upright on purpose because he wanted to, not because he was taught to do that. And his movements were much more human than chimp also. So people really thought, he looked like a little Bigfoot. But they proved in the 90s that he was not part human and part chimpanzee. He was just a regular, odd-looking and human-like acting chimpanzee. And the other trouble with Oliver being Bigfoot was he was small. He even though he walked upright, he was dinky compared to, basically any of the accounts that describe Bigfoot encounters. So while he looked odd, the non-Humanzee could pass as a fun-size Bigfoot, but not a full-size Bigfoot. But then I wondered if, it just makes you think, could Bigfoot actually be some sort of hybrid like a Humanzee? The show also talked about the Liger factor, which might account for if there is a giant-sized Bigfoot that is some kind of a hybrid. Maybe it has something going on like this Liger factor. Basically, Ligers are when male lions mate with female tigers. When that happens, Ligers, they can produce, another creature, kind of like zonkies, zebra and donkeys mating. But unlike zebras and donkeys or zonkies, Ligers get humongous. I mean, they're ginormous, way bigger than an average lion or tiger. And I guess this happens because something overrides a growth gene inhibitor. So could that be the same thing that's happening if a chimp and a human were to mate and produce offspring? Or maybe, a gorilla or some other larger primate, because Bigfoot has to get big from something. So it would be pretty wild if that was true. It would also raise a whole lot of other, dilemmas, like who, were they bred on purpose, or, did these two species happen to meet and fall in love? I mean, you can go crazy with the because it sounds so ridiculous, right? You have two different species mating, and in our case as humans, we don't normally think to do that, but anyway, so it's something to think about. But if it was to happen, maybe hunting them wouldn't be such a great idea. I'm sure that would raise a whole lot of problems, because we, ethically don't hunt each other as humans normally, except for serial killers who, but it's not legal. So it's just a very involved question, isn't it? It really raises a lot more questions. And also, maybe these people, Bigfoot hunters that go out, trying to find evidence of them, maybe they need to look at him less as a monster and more as a fellow human being, just more, it's a hybrid situation. So there could be some kind of human qualities in there. Anyways, just something to think about, and little jaunt back in time with a Throwback Thursday resurrection of an old post about Oliver the Humanzee. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Haunt Jaunts, a podcast for restless spirits. My name is Courtney Maroc, and it's been my pleasure to be your host and guide for this audio journey. Did you like what you heard? If so, the best ways to show your appreciation are by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts from, leaving a review if your podcast provider permits it, or by sharing this episode. If you're curious about the music, almost all of it comes from filmmusic.io, unless otherwise specified in the show notes, which is also where all artist and song titles are listed. And if you'd like to continue exploring with me beyond the podcast, you can always jaunt with me online anytime at hauntjaunts.net or socially on Instagram and YouTube. I sure do appreciate you taking the time to sail the airwaves with me. Until our paths cross again, ciao for now.